But it looks like we are finally going to get out of the stalling and into the game. And Annie Desu not looking too happy at the opening hand pre-mulligan.
Yeah, we don't see a Plaza in hand. We do see a Radiant Guardian. He is up against Kannan, who is playing just Go Hard. And we've seen him win against Go Hard before with this deck without a Plaza. So maybe he can do it again, but I think he would rather have a Plaza in hand already.
Yeah, we saw him pull out this win a little bit earlier on in the top 8, going not opening the Plaza, but honestly, the opening hand of the Go Hard player was about as weak as Annie's was. So probably not going to have Lightning Strike twice and does need to find a bit of a better opener. Has a 1-drop, but talk a lot about this Fleet Feather Tracker just not feeling good into Go Hard. And now with triple Radiant Guardian and nothing in between 1 and 5, it's going to feel pretty hard to actually get those online. I would not be surprised to just see one of these come down on curve.
Ooh, and he is playing the double trouble. You see it on the left side. And guys, I have a fun thing here. So
right,
Kannan has decided to put a pretty interesting tech card into his Go Hard deck, and that is the Passage Unearned, which it should be pretty nice against double trouble, or for example against.
I think Zenny that has Passage. No, none of them.
No, it's Kannan.
For either of them.
Neither of them. Yeah, I think you're looking at the wrong list.
Neither of them?
Are you looking at Kannan's Swiss list?
Oh, I'm looking at. Oh my god, that is sad. I'm really sad right now.
Oh, what's happened?
Oh, okay.
Kannan messaged him saying that he queued the wrong deck.
Okay.
Oh, well, it's okay. Maybe Kannan, as well as me, thought that the Swiss list was better and was trying to smuggle in 1 or 2 Passage Unearns.
So that actually feels really good for Annie Desu, who had a pretty weak opening hand. It's nothing you love more than seeing a weak pre-mulligan, mulliganing, getting a bad hand, and your opponent actually being like, actually, we need to restart the game. Are you cool with that? And you'd be like, oh, yeah, absolutely. That's fine.
It's fine, yeah. We're just waiting to see what happens. So in the meantime, let's go back to talking about their lists. Yeah, we can go back to
new deck list.
It's new deck list. I mean, Passage Unknown is even that good, right? There's a 1 card option, and it kind of trades 1 for 1 mana wise as well. Trades 3 mana for 3. It's still not even that good.
There was a really big lack of Fielder Rush in this tournament as well. We knew that Go Hard was going to be one of the more prominent decks, but with Plaza not being too far behind it, it doesn't feel like something that Fielder Rush pairs super well into. Unfortunately, we saw a Gigas fall bait to that in top 16 when he swapped over to the list and came into chat to tell us how it just did not perform for him. So overall, yeah, I mean, Fielder Rush feels like it's in a little bit of an awkward spot. I am curious to see how Plaza is going to continue to impact the meta, especially in these Riot format tournaments where you get to bring multiple copies of that deck.
Yeah, it looks like Kannan is giving the victory technically for the rules. If you queue the wrong deck, the victory goes over to the opposing player, which means Plaza is not an option here.
Ooh, and that means that Annie just has to win 1 game.
Yeah, he only has 1 game to win here.
What is Hexcal Foundry deck?
This is so let me break down why this isn't the best thing in the world. So Annie's already ahead of the competition. I don't think the other top 4 matches started yet. I don't know if we're out of that other top 8 match. So Annie might be, into the finals and then have to wait for an entire top 4 match that we don't have a streamer for to play out.
Yeah, I'd have to see if I can grab them and spectate them somehow, or ask them to stream if they can.
But we are going to get to see more of this Foundry deck up against Go Hard. Maybe it was a little bit of a fluke last time. We talked about the Shroom RNG not quite working out for Annie and these Go Hards getting shuffled in and things just being really awkward to try and keep track of. So are going to have a little bit of a better opener this time around. We have both of our champions on 1. If Kannan doesn't open a Go Hard, which we didn't see the previous opponent do, Annie's got a pretty good shot. But what does it look like if we do open Go Hard?
I feel like if we open Go Hard, we are pretty favored if we are Kannan, because that means we will have more Go Hards earlier than usual. So once the Teemo comes down, we go out the Teemo, then we have better chances to draw another Go Hard for the Zoe or the Spacey Sketcher. I think it would be pretty nice here.
Also, I should say good sportsmanship on Kannan, just owning up to that, by the way. It's rough, but it happens.
Yep, and he does get the Go Hard here.
Not what you wanted to see if you're Annie Desu, who honestly your hand is looking kind of weak without that Teemo. Zoe could come down, but that might just die to another Go Hard. And these additional draw cards that you have, like the Veteran Investigator, look so much worse when there are no shrooms in your opponent's deck.
Is that just a...
Yeah. This is
Oh,
the second
man.
go hard. Oh my god. So from the worst hand ever on Painus' side when it comes to go hard starts, we go to a double go hard opener from Kannan, and that actually brings him just one go hard away from Packybags, and that is absolute sweat for Annie because his hand looks pretty awful. I don't think in this matchup you want to ever play this Veteran Investigator, especially if your opponent has already played 2 go hards.
Yeah, and no Puffcat Peddlers available either. Instead, getting Teemo number 3. If this is Go Hard number 3, I wouldn't blame Annie for just scooping on the spot.
No, it's not. Oh my god, no way.
And Annie does not want to have to commit this Mystic Shot like this, but the only 1-drop elusive in the game that I can think of is rolled out for Kannan here off of this Petty Officer. This is the best boy RNG. Kannan, you are getting whatever you want for Christmas.
Oh my god. Yeah, the only other one is a 2-1 that only gains elusive for the turn it's played. And... I thought Eddie was gonna say, okay, stream and wrong deck. But yeah, Kane here also playing the Petty Officer. I find a really interesting tech. I really like Petty Officer in Go Hard. I myself have taken it out of my Go Hard list, but you might want to take it back in again. And giving your opponent a draw here is pretty interesting. Not committing the Mystic Shot does make sense, but that does mean that actually there's a 1/1 can attack next turn.
Yeah, so Fresh Lobster, you've just tuned into the semi-finals here between Annie and Kannan, which is going to be very interesting. I mean, it's 1-0 up to Annie here, but it's not looking good.
Annie's looking a little bit more optimistic with this suit up off the top than Dreadway Deckhand. Doesn't mean too much right now. We do still have to get rid of this Cutthroat, and it looks like Sketcher's going to go for the discard onto the other Sketcher. I mean, this is a difficult discard consideration. There are some cards that you could get that deal with this Cutthroat that don't demand the Mystic Shot that you really do want to be saving for something like a Zap Sprayfin. And none of these are it.
The problem is though, if the Zap Sprayfin comes down, you are in the deep right now. You're in deep waters because that means that there's a possibility of the third go hard being drawn. But here, this attack actually might be really good for Annie because he might be able to just like wave it off, say 2 damage. I'm okay with that. I'm 2 mana. I can play the messenger. I can develop. I can draw.
I was going to say, so smart for Kannan to hold back that Prowling Cutthroat and say, you know what, I think there is the possibility that you drew a suit up. It's something that I'm going to respect, and I really don't want to lose this elusive blocker on attacks just to push through 1 damage that doesn't feel worth it, and just not taking that risk. Now, Zoe number 2, top decked by Annie Desu, but, we're still very close to that Pack Your Bags, only 1 go hard away.
Yeah, it was super weak to gold card as well on Annie's side, if he does develop the Zoe.
Yeah, also just to red card.
Yeah, red card as well, yeah.
The problem is, as soon as this Packy Bags come down, I don't see any board that Annie Desu can redevelop. And that just means that Kannan is just free to develop his board and punch in a bunch of damage through units.
I feel like opening 2 go hards for Kannan was really just a death sentence for Annie Desu. Really wasn't sure to handle that. Now, the Vengeance coming down onto the Teemo.
We were talking about that in the last game, right?
Yeah, it doesn't feel like a great play, but honestly, there are not a lot of Vengeance targets in Annie Desu's deck. It's really just whatever elusive suit up got thrown down onto. This time it is Teemo, and now we are safe to go in with this Prowling Cutthroat.
Yeah, and when we were talking about this play the last time, it was like, okay, that feels really bad, but that was because Annie Desu's opponent was already super behind. And this time, Kannan still on 20 HP, no mushrooms have been shuffled. He is pretty much ahead in this game. And right now, if a Hexcore Foundry would find itself in Annie Desu's hand, that would actually be kind of bad for him because he would just give Kannan more fuel.
And it would feel like he would have to play it, right? I mean, your hand is only 2 cards at the moment. These rummages are not representing anything for you. All right, there goes our two non-rummage cards potentially for Annie Desu, deciding that the 1/1 elusive plan is totally off the table thanks to an absolute high roll off of the Petty Officer into the Prowling Cutthroat. What are we even looking for? What could we possibly try to find to get us back into this game? It feels like Puffcap Peddler is our best option, but instead we get Chump Wump.
I mean, Chump Wump is okay. It gives you more targets for your second rummage. And there's a Puffcap Peddler. Okay. I think we can start to shuffle mushrooms finally into the deck of Kannan. Okay, that is not the best one drop he could have gotten, but I mean, he was way overdue for a low roll on that one.
And that used to be the best one drop option. RIP's on Night Urchin, last breath, draw one card.
Goes proactively in here. He knows the only thing that can punish him here is a Mystic Shot he already saw, and he throw one away, so it's likely that he doesn't have a second one. I don't know if he wants to go in here and wants to discard those two mushrooms just to be able to draw a Mystic Shot.
I don't even know if you would want to Mystic Shot that. I mean, since you are off the elusive plan, you can just kind of use them to trade for Glimpse Beyonds. Primarily, you want to be saving those for Zap Sprayfins, but I think that with two Zoes and two Teemos gone, we are just totally off of that kind of game plan. And oh man, even the suit up doesn't look amazing here. Spacey Sketch is the only target that's really going to get value off of it, but things just still looking really good for Kannan.
Yeah, this is a pretty dire spot for Annie. I mean, last time we saw this matchup, I feel like he had much better chance. But I don't even think with double puff cap that's enough.
If this is a go hard, that's really scary for Kannan. But Ruination instead.
The Ruination is awful because Kannan didn't have much of a board. I think he was just super fine firing this off, and he just trying to shuffle as much mushrooms as he can into his opponent's deck. He still has a 2-drop to develop here. Gets to push 3 damage, which is pretty nice. So not all is lost, but this does look pretty over.
I mean, that puts us at what? Yeah, 15 mushrooms in deck. That's really not going to be enough, especially since we are down to only one Teemo remaining in the deck for Annie Desu.
One Teemo and one puff cap as well.
Yeah, there's no way that he's going to be able to come into this one, I would imagine, unless we can get a sort of miracle Zoe run.
Yeah, what'd you even discard? Jury Rig, and then Hope, and then...
Messenger.
A lot of hoping going on.
The snap pick on the Messenger, it kind of tells Kannan what he picked here, I think, because if you see a Messenger, you would always snap pick it here because you really need more resources. You really need to find maybe the Foundries, although it would give Kannan more ways to get to his go hards. It would also get you ways to finally get to cards you want to play. And another Teemo doesn't quite do it because that Teemo has to be super afraid of a go hard.
It is
leveled up.
It's true.
I wish this level up animation was more impactful.
Yeah, compared to Victor, this really does look like a level up animation.
I actually haven't seen Victor's.
You haven't seen Victor's?
No, I don't think I've played against any Victor decks, actually.
But that also means you haven't been playing any Victor decks.
I don't think I've crafted any new cards outside of... I think I crafted 3 Plaza and called it a day.
Boulevard is a type of player that day one, he immediately goes in with go hard.
I crafted all the meme decks, right? Straight away. That was my first priority, straight there.
That's what you're supposed to do. Listen, you might have crafted 3 of Grand Plaza on day 1 Boulevard. I've crafted a 3 of Scar Grounds.
I had to think about which one that one was. I like that card. I just don't think it pairs well into the meta that we're in.
Oh, yeah, totally. I thought it was really good against Go Hard decks, and I kept losing to Go Hard.
It's like, yeah, your Go Hard is denied by the fact that my guy is tough, and then they pack your bags, and you're like, wait a minute, hold on.
Yep. Maybe it's a similar problem that Annie's going to run into, because, again, 2 Go Hards have already been played. If he finds, a Twisted Fate here for the gold card, isn't doing too much, actually.
Yeah, it's just going to kill the Veteran Investigator.
I think I would have liked to see a blue card here if you go for the Twisted Fate. Obviously, that is going to take a lot of damage off the board, but that means that this Teemo is free to just hit your face and double the mushrooms, and 30 mushrooms is definitely more okay, 28 now.
Lost value on the side of Annie Desu by Kannan top decking a mushroom there. A little unfortunate, but I'm not going to sit here and try to math out how that would impact the game, but feels pretty safe to get in a Teemo hit here. Vengeance is still the only thing that's going to kill this at fast speed, and we are down to only one copy of that remaining. And we had it. Okay, that should be the game. That is the last Teemo dead. One Zoe and one Puffcat Peddler are the only remaining threats in Annie's deck, and has a lot of sort of dead draws here. I mean, the Chump Wump doesn't feel great. The Starry Scamp, definitely probably going to be the worst card to top deck in a situation like this. Jury Rig just as bad. Like, we run into this a lot with discard aggro as well, right? If you don't actually hit your draw engines, you have a lot of dead top decks.
Yeah, it feels like the rest of the cards in his hand are just kind of useless. Hex Cores, I guess you kind of have to play it.
Yeah, you need to try and find some, while you have the board, just try to find some more units to overwhelm your opponent before they can get all their stuff down. But at 10 mana, Kannan shouldn't be having too much trouble with that.
You can just play another Hex Core Foundry.
All right, Zap might have found us the Pack Your Bags. Or no, we're still on third Go Hard, actually.
Yeah. But that's great for him, actually, because that means he can shuffle more cards into his deck that are Go Hards, more cards that don't have mushrooms on them. And I feel like Kannan is just going to take those two Hexcore Foundries and say, okay, I'm fine with that. Let's go.
Even if Kannan top decks all 14 mushrooms next turn, I think he's still winning this game.
He's even drawing himself.
Yeah, I mean, without a lethal amount of mushrooms in deck, and with all three Teemos gone and two Peddlers gone, you feel pretty safe to just cycle through as much as you can. And it looks like this is going to be a go hard to finish things off and really give us a good chance of top decking Pack.
Yeah, and at this point, you just fire off the Pack Your Bags as soon as you get it. Usually what you want to do with this deck is you want to wait and you want to space out the Pack Your Bags, and you want to develop and wait for your opponent to actually commit more to the board so you can get the best Pack Your Bags while you are free to develop. But in this case, you are just going to go Pack Your Bags because you're going to draw so many Go Hards with these Hexcore Foundries that you don't really care about getting maximum value out of your pack.
Yeah, and this is what Boulevard was mentioning earlier. A lot of the rest of the deck is just dead cards, to be quite frank. The whole deck is really, really reliant on Puffcat Peddler, Teemo, and Zoe getting some value.
So the question is, do we know what is banned? Because the other two lists are from Kannan are Ezra Draven and Fiora Shen. And we've already seen the Ezra Draven with a pretty unfortunate opening hand lose to this Hexcore Foundry deck pretty convincingly.
I'd say probably not Fiora Shen, because I feel like Fiora Shen's pretty bad because you can just get buried up and remove all your units.
Yeah, this does look like a deck that is very susceptible to losing to Fiora win condition.
And there's the Pack Your Bags, and that is going to be lethal on the open attack from Kannan, which means we are going to go to game number 3, even though game number 1 was approximately 10 seconds long.
It feels like the sort of moniker that we keep going for every time we see this Hexcore Foundry deck is, things didn't work out. At least we get to see it again in game number 3. I feel like that's the second or third time that we've said this about this deck.
Yeah, the thing is it does just need like the one match, right, to do well. And high roll, we saw it earlier on with the disgusting high roll from Annie against the Draveness, with also the low roll on the Draveness side.
Not allowed to discard one card for his Rummage, apparently. We have reverted that back to the old Rummage.
That is weird. That's a weird bug.
Okay.
Oh no, now it works.
Okay,
yeah, that sometimes happens if you order cards too quickly. I think the game just didn't register that you played the other 2 burst cards already and was searching for you to discard them.
I know they had to slow down the APM because you used to be able to, if you were fast enough, discard Draven Axes to Draven Axes and then use the axes that you were discarding as well. And they were like, whoa, no. We expected y'all to have Boomer APM. You're playing a little bit too fast. We got to take that out of the game.
No, they should have let that in the game, okay? I want to have my lightning quick...
starting to like warm up their wrists. It's like, all right, here comes the Draven attack.
My shooty game reflexes. But yeah, here we are going to see another game of this spacey sketcher of the Hexcore Foundry deck. Let's see if he has an insane turn one like he did last time, where he developed, I think it was 4 units and was able to push 7 damage on turn 2. I don't think he's going to be able to, because that was pretty much the perfect sequence he could have gotten. And here, his opening hand already looks like a full mulligan, so it is very unlikely.
Yeah, I'm just thinking it's again one of those things. He searches for team and hopes there's no thermo beam, right?
Pretty much. I thought he was about to keep Rummage, and I was going to say, it feels really weird to keep Rummage in any matchup, in any deck, I feel.
I mean, do you just discard Pale?
It does seem like the worst card in your hand, but being able to dodge sort of Xaxis thermo beams is something that I value.
You get to potentially just push up to 1 to 3 damage, right? On the next turn.
Yeah.
Now you're just seeing what he draws, right? Instead, now you do it, right?
Ooh.
Now you do it, right? And you discard Puffcat Peddler, maybe, because then you have Pale as an option to deal with any burn or a Mystic.
You're a house. I mean, House Spider is still a big punish. Let me just make sure that Kannan's actually running that card. Some players do tend to cut it, but no, we do have the full 3 House Spider.
Trickster and Crescent Strike are also good cards here if you want to rush down your opponent as fast as possible. And I think the rush down as fast as possible line was the line that Annie has seen have success before. But this time his opponent actually has the House Spider.
And this makes it look so much worse.
Yeah, this is not the same as the Painless matchup, but Annie had a crazy turn 1, and there was just no House Spider, no Arachnoid, no anything.
And
here
starting to gas out for Annie in these later stages of the tournament.
Yeah, he is just gonna push 2 damage on turn 2, which is not too much. And another House Spider. But he has an elusive card. He has a 3/3 that can hop in and just maybe deal a bunch of damage. The only problem is if it obviously runs into any removal from Kannan, it's gonna be pretty over, because you don't have any other pressure. You discarded your Puffcat Peddler, which means the Mushroom game plan is not online right now.
Yeah, I mean, he's obviously got the additional draw now from the Hexcore Foundry to give himself. He's sort of done the assessment and just like, look, my hand is poor. It doesn't matter if I give Kannan a couple more cards. I kind of have to take the risk and just try to draw into some of my key cards more quicker than Kannan can.
We'll develop the Trickster here, which is pretty nice. I only see a problem if you run to an Arachnid Sentry followed up by a Ravenous Flock, and yep, that is the Sentry. It is one of the best cards in Noxus right now. I feel like it's very versatile. You can obviously play it in Draven Ezreal, you can play it in Lee Sin and Riven. Such a good card.
It is just it works in pretty much every Noxus deck, right? You could just get away with it anywhere and not feel too bad to ever have it. It's nearly always a condition where you're fine just throwing it down.
Yeah, and
Ravenous Flock.
Yeah, true. It's basically the best Ravenous Flock activator in the game, alongside maybe the Static Shock. And talking about Ravenous Flock, that is a 1-mana card, and I feel like this Ezreal Draven list, although it has obviously Captain Farron as the top end, has a bunch of cards that can be played for very low mana cost, which is pretty good against this deck, which wants you to draw a lot of cards. Scorched Earth, though.
And it looks like he just got lost in that, and that is the only copy of Scorched Earth in the deck, and he better be getting that dog. We were promised a doggo stream today, and I haven't seen him once.
That is true. Me neither. Maybe that is giving him some negative karma here, because going back on his promises, but it seems like the dog is a bit camera shy, which is fine.
We got a lot of the dog at EU Masters.
He's not camera shy for sure. I've always heard EU Masters. He's not a camera shy dog.
Well, maybe now. Maybe he got some mean comments. Maybe he is a bit self-conscious about his appearance now.
Scrolling through Twitter, Twitter, and just saw a bunch of mean comments. Oh man, it's the
reading all the Reddit posts.
Yeah.
But yeah, that means the Hexcore Foundry will be gone, and Annie is left with 1 mana and 3 spell mana to do anything in this turn. Can develop the Teemo. I do feel like on 4 mana, this Teemo is not long for the world, though.
Yeah, this is your chance though to play it, right? It's kind of now or never.
Yeah, and if this does get a thermo, we do still have the Pale to protect it.
I was just considering how many shrooms do we have in the deck? 0, I guess. That's not
wanted to
enough.
say 0, yeah.
Yeah.
Plays the Pearl Cascade, which is pretty nice because the team survives now.
Ooh,
that
double
means
jury.
that's pretty good for an opening attack. But there are enough blockers actually for Kannan just to not really care about that.
Do we play Chump Wump? Now we can't play triple shroom into attack.
It's like we're not valuing the triple shroom attack, instead just going in with the chump. Well, actually going in with everything.
Yeah, I think he's less afraid of a static shot or more of a mystic shot. And leveling Teemo here wouldn't prevent a mystic shot from just killing it, and it would be a lot of mana invested. And that means you can't use the second rummage to discard the shrooms. Yeah, and that's the mystic shot. So
do you dig for the suit up? I mean, we're talking about like low odds and RNG and percentages and things like that. Is it worth it? It looks like the answer might be yes.
Puffka Paddler, Zoe, that's not it. Yeah, and compared to the last game he had against Ezreal Draven, this looks way more rough. Kind of just like the Go Hard matchup, because even though he lost the Go Hard matchup against Painus, it looked super close, and it was very close to the very end. But against Kannan, his Go Hard matchup actually looked atrocious, and Kannan looked to be in control the whole time. And now this kind of is the same. While he was totally stomping Painus with a perfect hand, he is kind of fizzling out now, and
I mean,
doesn't really find the win.
Kannan's fizzling out as well. Annie Desu is actually up 1 card. And now with the double Puffcat Peddler, the Shroom plan is back online. You know, the Teemo didn't work out, but it's fine. We have all these other units that can get it done. And yeah, we see the stun onto this. That sets up for a flock, but not before we get down the second Puffcat Peddler and get to put 16 Shrooms into Kannan's deck.
Yeah, if we go for the 16 shrooms, we don't get to throw Zoe down here.
Oh, it's actually more than 16 shrooms, right? It's 22.
Oh, 22, yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Instead, we're just getting 11. You know, not bad. Still leveling Teemo with that last one.
I think we want to get Zoe down and try get Zoe at least to attack.
Now, a level Teemo is pretty nice, but we also see that Ezreal is leveled. So he is a perfect blocker right now. I mean, at 2 and 4, it's going to be hard for your Teemo to get through, and you might need exactly that card, the suit up.
That's a pretty big draw for Annie Desu, who, unless Kannan drops Captain Farron this turn, I'm a bigger fan of Annie's position, if I'm being honest.
I mean, an Ezreal would also be great.
I don't know how much Ezreal would actually be able to get done against a 4/4 elusive on the side of Annie. And with only 3 cards beside it. Oh, but there's the Farron.
But enough, I'll end this, says Captain Farron. He comes onto the board, and that is super, super bad for Annie Desu. He can block 4 damage.
Yeah, we have to go for the draw here.
I was really hoping for the Equinox, like Boulevard just mentioned. Finds more mushrooms, finds Pearl Cascade.
The problem is with 17 shrooms is not enough. It's not quick enough.
Yeah, the problem is there's no Hexcore Foundry, right?
Yeah, getting that off the board early is actually working out really well for Kannan, who still managed to find the captain on turn 8. And things aren't looking dire for Annie just yet. Unfortunately, I don't think you're going to be able to put enough pressure on the board that Kannan isn't just going for, say, double decimate on the next turn. But you do have the opportunity to survive through this, maybe try and sneak out a lethal, depending on how many mushrooms come out. But yeah, not finding a great blocker for this Captain Farron. There's the Foundry.
This is super close. How much damage you take from?
So if you block with Zoe, you take 4. Okay, if you block with Zoe, you go down to 13, which means you don't die to the 3 decimates, but since he doesn't block with Zoe, he wants to finish with Zoe next turn. That means he's actually on 12 HP, which is just a threshold for those 3 decimates. So if
You can
Kannan
be on
actually
13, right? If he Pale Cascades the Trump one.
Yeah. Which I gotta say, I do like a little bit more not giving your opponent the opportunity to just force you into an open attack on the threat of Decimate on the following turn. And how
Poro
good
Cannon.
is this Poro Cannon?
I think it's really good.
Really?
It only gets punished by Static Shock, but if he has it, he has it. And if not, you get to push a bunch of elusive damage, which they, outside of Static Shock, don't have an answer for right now. Oh, but there's a Tri-Beam.
Is that 7?
No, it's 2.
Oh, 2. Okay. I was like, holy moly.
Yeah, I think he hasn't played too many 3-cost cards. So he's played both Spiders.
Ooh,
2
2
up's
to
pretty
reset
good.
the HP on the Zoe.
That stops the. Does that stop the guillotine? Right? It should.
It
do.
should, yeah. It'll turn
it
it back into a 4/4. It won't be damaged. I'm 90% sure this stops guillotine.
Yeah, 'cause
I'm
it's
actually
set.
gonna say 95.
It's set. It's set to 4/4.
Yeah.
Yep. And this does stop the guillotine. Obviously, now a Mystic Shot would kind of ruin his day.
This
But
does
that's
also
another
mean that
card
we
Kannan
can't
has to
play
invest.
Foundry. Oh, this Zoe feels so pivotal to actually winning the game, though. I think you need to protect it.
Especially because you get 7 out of 10, and if you can get like your units to have elusive.
It depends. I mean, you can make a Poro next turn, which could also be buffed to a 4/4. So maybe it's okay letting this Zoe go. He decides against it and saves his Zoe. But
just-
if it...
There's 3
it's
cards
like
in
for
hand,
real.
right, from Kannan. You have to also consider
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, one of those is Mystic Shot or Static Shock. This is going to be feeling pretty bad.
I don't think it's either, because you could have just started with the Mystic, right? Potentially.
Yeah, and he's
Including a
searching.
rummage.
Well, that's a lot of shrooms.
Oh,
But it
Gets them-
seems he finds what he wants. He finds the Mystic Shot. And that looks pretty harsh because that means no lethal on the open attack, even if he draws 4 mushrooms here. But you still have the Foundry. You still have the Poros.
It just depends what he
dream is
draws
not
on the
over.
next turn, right?
Yeah, 23 mushrooms. I mean, depending on what you get now, you might be able to pull off the win by pushing a bunch more mushrooms into your opponent's deck. And that is a rummage, which A, can put mushrooms into your opponent's deck, and B, draw you 2 more cards. Maybe Poro Cannon and Hexcore Foundry not really what you need right now.
The other option is you just try to play 2/1/1 elusives and hope. And just discard Rummage and play Hexcore. Try to push 2 more damage and then hope to draw 4 shrooms out of 18 cards with 28 shrooms in there. And you throw a
Not
few more shrooms in
unreasonable.
there with the Poro Cannon.
I definitely like Poro Cannon more than I like drawing 1 card with Rummage.
Yeah, it gives you 2 elusives. Again, can be answered by Static Shock, but are really awkward to answer outside of Static Shock.
And I think you're actually fine if your opponent's Static Shocks, because that means that they're just drawing an additional card. It might actually represent the 2 damage that you're missing out on.
Yeah, I also think Poro Cannon is the play here. Realistically, looking at his draws, there isn't anything that would win him the game if he just plays Rummage here. I don't think a Teemo is going to do it, because Teemo can be answered by so many more cards.
Yeah, it's super tough. I think you go for the Poro Cannon and hope.
And that he does. Goes for the Poro Cannon. Gets 2 Daring Poros. I mean, those look really cute, but the question is, are they enough to finish this game? We see a Decimate, which means Kannan is just preparing lethal next
He's
turn.
averaging 2 shrooms per draw? And he's going to be at 4 HP with 2 draws?
Are we going to see a Mystic Shot top deck for lethal from Annie Desu?
Ooh, there's a Static Shock.
All right.
That's
This
done the
isn't-
draw. That's 3 draws with average 2, right?
Oh, he gets 1 now, so
Would have
he
loved
saves a bit of
to
health.
not have those removed, but at least we still get to push through 1 damage. It looks like we are just pulling everything back and sort of accepting defeat to the Captain Farron on the next turn. We top deck Teemo, that's nothing. Can we
1
get
shroom, 2
lethal?
shrooms. Oh my god, he is one off, and that is no Mystic Shot top deck.
Oh, that feels so
Oh.
bad for Annie Desu.
He had an average of 2 as well, right? And that was that first. I think that first turn where the first draw happened was just not enough.
Yeah, and is gonna fall to Kannan here. So Kannan gonna move on to the finals. Annie Desu, despite getting the game 1 win, not able to clean up the series with this Teemo Zoe deck. And boys, we have to try and find a streamer for the finals.
Yeah,
Yes.
that is really unfortunate for Annie Desu here. He's just 1 damage off, and after getting a free win because his opponent queued a wrong deck, he unfortunately falls 2 times with his Hexcore Foundry deck, which I dubbed the most fun deck we've seen so far in the tournament.